My primary goal for the coming New York seminar is to give you an initiation that will bail you out from your current situation, whether it is a financial situation, a relationship, or a health situation. It is basically about how to be meaningfully in contact with God, not as a metaphysical concept, but as a neurobiological activation of the inner strength you have. So God is understood not as a metaphysical entity uh, who belongs to the realm of faith. No, it is a matter of neurobiology, and I will give you an initiation and teaching connecting both to God. Secondly, that I will talk about success. Many people fail, but failure is also success. If you analyze failure and come out with some understanding, that's okay. But then analysis often is going to give you more, you're going to lead you to get stuck in the intellect. But if you look deeper into failure, it is pointing towards not a simple success, but a great success. And I have planned to do a separate course on that. But watch this video. I have said I created a few months ago, and I will include this also in my New York program. Watch this video. Why do you fail? This is a very important question that everybody needs to understand. And then what happens is whenever people fail, they are depressed and they are frustrated, they are angry, and then they just go and drink or do other kinds of things. So it's very important for everyone, whether you are an young person or a middle-aged person or an old person, to understand the fact that nobody fails. You don't fail at all. What you can call it as failure is not failure at all. Because there is something very deeply significant happening in what you call as failure. Say, for instance, I will give you a person literally failing in an exam and then he's not promoted to the next grade. Yes, it's a failure, only in a limited sense. But it has its own advantage. The advantage is where you go and look at yourself. Why did you fail? You failed because you did not study well, you did not understand the problem well, and then you didn't organize your time well, and there are so many things that you can list and then improve upon it, and then maybe in the next time when you pass with higher grades. The same situation, the same analysis can be taken over to other areas as well. For instance, you don't get a job. Then when you don't get a job, then you begin to understand, go and analyze why I didn't get a job. Maybe I did not have the skill. I did not have the presentation skill. I did not dress properly. Or, more importantly, I went to the interview at the wrong time. So that gives you a new dimension to go into understanding the time dynamics, because the time is not the same according to Vedic astrology. And Vedic astrology has been approved as a science by the Supreme Court and the University Grants Commission, and it is being taught in schools in India, because I think this has to happen everywhere. So failure is also a time-related phenomenon. So that makes you to go and understand, well, I didn't do well over this 7.5 years period of Saturn. So failure has to be redefined. Failure is success itself, or more success. And if you had not had that failure, then you are going to just be satisfied with whatever is that you will become complacent. So that's not good. To me, complacence is failure. And the real failure is something greater because it takes you out of your comfort zone of complacence and then make you to work better. So you have to look at what failure is. Failure in ordinary, common, and day-to-day understanding is freezing the concept. It's a frozen concept to a particular time frame, space related phenomenon. But in reality, if you look at the entire lifetime, then you will see failure is really something that is good that has happened, and it is going to drive you in a different direction or in the same direction with more energy, with more perception, more analysis, more understanding, so that you can succeed. And then the success that is going out of coming out of this failure is even going to be greater. For instance, George W. Bush, he failed when he ran for Congress. So is Bill Clinton. But then that these failures gave them the drive, hey, I may have failed as a congressman. I'm going to be the president of the United States. So somebody who is succeeding in getting elected as a congressman, and then he is able to retire as a congressman because he has served for the maximum term. So he's a senator. So the failure has to be interpreted in a different, in a different perspective. That failure is what you freeze the reality to that particular timeline. But then you can understand it beyond the time concept and then see that you can succeed. Failure is really a good thing that has happened to you. God bless.